Welcome to the session Interreg Solutions for Local Challenges and How Cooperation Supports Peripheral and Lagging Regions in Central Europe. Thank you for being here. I know it's around lunchtime, so I will not keep you too long, but it's still important that we talk about the topic of today, specifically how Interreg Central Europe is enhancing the right to stay in border and peripheral regions. But before I start my monologue, I wanted to ask a question into the room. What specific characteristic comes to your mind when you think of Central Europe, like in terms of geography, history? Is there anything that comes to your mind? Yeah?
Different cultures merging.
Mm-hmm.
Merging different cultures.
Yeah, true. Anything else or no?
Same values.
Same values, yeah. True. I mean, definitely there's a long shared history with a lot of similarities in culture. But I wanted to point something different out, and that's the density of borders. If you look at the world, you can see in blue that these are areas that are not so dense in terms of borders. But Europe is actually having a lot of borders. It's kind of sticking out. And then if you zoom in, you can see that Central Europe is actually the area with the highest border density in the EU. So one could say that this is not really a problem. It's nice to travel to another country really quickly. But actually, people are leaving these regions, not because they want to, but because services and opportunities leave first. So this depopulation is actually caused by structural reasons. The first one being that borders, of course, affect the functional flows between areas. Alone at the EU level, the cost of border obstacles is 458 billion euros. That's 3% of the European GDP. And we're also losing 6 million jobs, so 3% of European employment due to borders. So there are severe consequences by these borders. And another structural reason why border areas are lagging behind is that policies tend to prioritize cities since decades. And the third reason is that the demographic and green transitions that all regions face are actually exacerbating the existing pressures that are present in these regions. As a consequence, peripheral lagging areas have three characteristics in common. The first one being a lower economic potential, of course. So it takes longer to travel to a center of economic activity, and there are weaker business linkages. We have a poorer access to services of general interest, which is quite crucial for the quality of life. Like you want to go to a school nearby, you want to have a good access to healthcare. And the third one is poor connectivity and a decline in influence. So if you think of a coal region, for example, they are often located in a border area. They are now losing their major source of employment and income. So they're really declining. But this actually has very human consequences. And this is like distrust in political institutions like the EU, disconnection and dispopulation. I myself come from Eastern Germany, a region that is performing worse than, for example, its counterparts in the south of Germany. And you can really feel that this being left behind caused this distrust in politics and especially the EU. So I think that's, this is not just sad, but it's also very dangerous because we live in times where this erosion of social cohesion can be is a problem because it causes instability, And given that we live in times of external pressure and geopolitical instability, this is quite crucial that we look at these regions that are left behind. So the big question of my today's talk is, what if people do not want to leave their region, but they have to? And how can we actually solve this? And this is where Interreg comes into play. Because Interreg connects regions with other regions so they can face shared challenges together. And we live in a time when many complain about the complexity of our challenges right now, but like Interreg actually does something about it. They connect region, they experiment, and then they find also solutions that actually tackle these challenges. So this is quite crucial. And especially they also build trust, which is a major point for Interreg, because given that these challenges in the border region cause a lot of distrust. But it's not only reactive, it's not only responsive to challenges, but it's also proactive in sovereignty and cohesion and its promotion of that, because it connects regions to broader ecosystems and therefore strengthens European value chains. And by that, it makes also the European market stronger and more robust when there are external pressures coming. So, but we heard that peripheral lagging regions actually have a lot of problems in terms of capacities. So also in Interreg, not always peripheral lagging areas have the capacities to actually take part in an Interreg project. So how can we actually make sure that they are not left behind? And therefore, we developed two solutions. And the first solution is actually just simply putting the peripheries first. So we have this problem of peripheral and lagging areas lagging behind in infrastructure, investments, and access to social services. So we actually made a dedicated call for peripheral and lagging areas, where the projects have to address one of the three major challenges that I mentioned before. And we also, it's a small-scale project call, so you need fewer capacities to actually take part in it. And we also introduced simpler procedures for that. And by that, we hope that institutions from peripheral and lagging areas actually gain easier access, that the most pressing challenges are tackled, and by that, the territorial development becomes more inclusive. And I think we kind of hit a nerve there, because we received a lot of applications, over 140 applications with 700 organizations involved in that. And right now, the best 25 projects are about to start, and they will involve 200 organizations, and they will produce 190 results that actually improve the life in border and peripheral regions. But I know it's a bit abstract also. Maybe I will give you some examples for the projects that we now selected and that are currently contracted. We have Co-Move. Excuse me. We have Co-Move, where they co-design transport to reduce rural isolation. And by that, they also kind of do this community-based development of demand-responsive transport, and also they look ahead and at strategies how to involve future innovations like autonomous vehicles also in rural areas. And then we also have the project GLOW, which addresses female entrepreneurship in peripheral regions. If women leave regions, you actually have a big problem, because then everyone else is leaving, children are leaving, and this intensifies depopulation. So we kind of look at this, or the project that we fund looks at this and develops targeted services for business support organizations that want to increase the regional growth in peripheral regions. And the third one is more dealing with the topic of health, which is linked to these services of general interest. And they actually want to develop this accessible stroke rehabilitation. And for that, they will develop digital tools. So everybody also in rural areas actually has the possibility to get help when they experienced a stroke. Yes, but we also asked ourselves the question, is it really necessary to always start from scratch? Aren't there already hundreds of good ideas out there that support border regions and that actually already developed good solutions? And that's where our second solution actually comes into play. A month ago, we launched a dedicated call, a strategic call for capitalization project that aims to reduce the border effect on functional linkages. So we have this really thematic emphasis on the border areas again. And in this call, regions get connected to tested solutions and they can adapt them to their needs. And this also enhances the impact of successful solutions from border regions, and in general makes it easier. Also, it doesn't involve that many new capacities to develop such a project. But this is not the focus on border regions is not only in terms of the thematic goal, but it's also in our methodology. So we involve at least two projects in a new project from Interreg Central Europe, so from our program, and two from cross-border Interreg programs. So by this, we hope to break a bit the silos between the different Interreg programs and also put a more prominent focus on the border regions. So yeah, if you know anyone who's interested in maybe applying, the call is currently open. So spread the message. But yeah, this is our solution. This sounded very technical to you, but this isn't just the technical fix that we developed, but it's really like quite crucial at the moment. This matters more than ever because we need resilient and cohesive regions, given that we live in such unstable times. And with our two holistic solutions, we ensure that no region is actually left behind, that we equip them with the knowledge that they need to address the challenges, and that also that they thrive in the green and digital transitions. So what we are doing as part of something bigger, because we are joining this shared effort of making every region in Europe stronger. And as Member of Parliament Sandro Gossi put it, Interreg actually has the tools to do that. And through Interreg, we can really build lasting solutions that improve the life of many, many Europeans. So with this talk, I wanted to inspire you to build Europe where all regions, not just the centers, have a future, where staying is actually not a compromise, but a real choice. So thank you very much for your attention. Maybe we can now discuss a bit like your ideas on how you and your work kind of ensure the right to stay. And if you have any questions, of course, you can also ask. Yes.
The deadline for the capitalization projects?
It's the 24th of November. 27th, sorry, yeah. Yeah.
I like the idea of starting small to match capacity, and in fact that's a very good route to capacity building in itself. Because people get the experience with a project that they can relate to and manage, and build the confidence to work their way up as a larger commitment.
Yeah, this is really the idea that we had in mind, this upscaling or downscaling also maybe to involve new sectors, new target groups, or also to adjust policies at the most appropriate level. Yeah. Yeah.
In this program, do you address the situation that you have to be realistic to some extent, that we cannot have everything in place, and very important is to have good connectivity, good transportation to connect some peripheral regions to the metropolitan areas, regions in order to access certain services. Does your initiative addresses this to some extent, and maybe you have also good examples of practices? How is it being done?
Yeah, we have as one strategic objective, a specific objective in our call also transport. And also this is a special focus that we want to connect the bigger areas with the smaller and more rural areas, and that we fund projects that exactly go into this direction. In terms of specific examples, I'm not a transport person myself, this is my colleague. But we definitely have a lot of new projects in transport in this upcoming call. I don't know, maybe Monica, you can help me with a specific example.
Yeah, actually we are having projects dealing both on somehow connecting peripheral areas to the core network, to the transport nodes, but also very interesting approaches more or less addressing the functional urban area approach. You know, linking the peri-urban areas to the core of the city and vice versa. So these are actually two different types of examples, which are, of course, very much needed for these peripheral areas. And these small-scale solutions and pilots, they are covering both aspects. But you can find all the information there and also on our website.
Yeah,
So there's projects which are they are still in the contracting stage, as soon as they start the implementation of the information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you mentioned this, but do you have other examples? Do you know other Interreg projects or programs that focus on peripheral areas? And is there like any common lessons learned? Because it's also relevant for our Interreg programs. I
think so far we are the only ones that are having a dedicated call for peripheral and lagging areas. I for sure. I mean, there are other funding instruments that deal with rural areas, but in Interreg, I think we're like the only ones so far that do this approach. But it's like really important because I think like these are the regions that actually need it the most. Yeah.
Maybe I'm also from Interreg Central Europe. It's the first dedicated call as such. But maybe as an information, like I would not know that any of the other Interreg programs exclude that you apply with projects that have such a focus. So this is the big difference. We wanted to really put a spotlight on this and really encourage also maybe organizations with more limited capacities, an interest not in working for 3 years, but maybe in 2 years together, a shorter duration, less administrative burden maybe. But in all our calls, we have actually projects that tackle these issues also. But this call was just simply very much focused on that. No other focus was that.
So yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering, do you have any cooperation calls with other Interreg programs like Baltic Sea area? Or is this something that you're not exploring? And of course, there's Interreg Europe on top of that, but it's more on a strategic level. So, you know, depopulation, peripheral regions is something that affects a lot of Europe. So I was wondering would there be any chance of cooperation also between different Interreg programs on a more regional level?
I mean, that's exactly what we tried to do in the fourth call, but with a focus on the CBC programs. With the other transnational programs, we are not having any such cooperation at the moment, but we try this now with our capitalization call, because we actually want to break the silos, because we all share the same challenges. So yeah, with other transnational ones, not at the moment, but yeah. Any other questions or discussion points, maybe?
Stupid question, but you already had the capitalization calls in the past, or is this like the first time that you already had it in like the previous program?
We already had it in previous program periods, yeah, and it also worked quite well. Like but it wasn't.
To bring together, because I think one of the challenges is to bring together like a coherent project. Now, if one needs to capitalize different results from different projects or even programs.
I mean, it's definitely new that we involve now the CBC program, so we will see how this will turn out. But yeah, in the past, it worked quite well with the capitalization call and was quite successful.
Maybe you can say a bit more about it, like who we.
Or you? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe since you were asking about previous capitalization calls. In the last programming period, we gave it a try and put a specific focus on capitalizing together with the Horizon program.
Mm-hmm.
So to do some joint call where we really encouraged the uptake and the use of research results which were developed in Horizon projects, and then to roll them out at in Interreg. So this was our capitalization approach of the previous programming period, and in this period we put particular emphasis on the cross-border programs.
Okay, so no more questions, no? Or
I've just again a stupid question because
there are no.
I was not here before, but there is no question. Like you talked to us about like probably this was a previous call about this lagging and peripheral areas.
Yeah, it's closed at the moment.
Closed,
we have now 25 projects who are about to start.
What is actually meant by lagging behind areas? That in terms of GDP, or is there?
Yeah, I explained that. It's like there are three characteristics, like this one: low economic performance, access to services of general interest, and this decline in significance and connectivity. Yeah, this is like meant with it. I mean, there are many definitions, but that's how we agreed on it. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much then for your attention, and I hope you have a great lunch break. And yeah, thank you.
Just